We're joined by former Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty. Welcome, Mr. Governor. Thank you for joining us under these tragic circumstances. What do you think when you watch the video and hear the witness accounts?
Well, good to be with you and your viewers, Trey, and thank you for all your great service to our wonderful country. When I watch these videos, my first instinct is to do what you just said, which is wait for all the evidence to come out, because we have learned in very painful ways, including with the Renee Good shooting, the people who spout off their mouths early without full information are in a very precarious position and do a great disservice to the ultimate cause of justice. So what I saw in this video is, let's wait, but also it does appear in one video that a federal agent had a gun, we presume, although we don't know, that it was Pretty's gun, and was potentially disarmed before those shots were fired. And then that leaves a lot of important questions around why Pretty was fired upon by other officers, maybe, as you mentioned, up to 10 times. So as what we know now raises a lot of questions and a lot of concerns, but we need to let the evidence come forward more fully.
And you know, Governor, in a former life, I was a prosecutor, and these things unfold in a moment of seconds, but yet good prosecutors take months and months and months to process all the relevant facts. I don't know when we decided that being first was more important than being right. That is a very relevant fact that you just cited. So, too, is the fact that Mr. Pretty was pepper sprayed. He may not have known where he was reaching, but then again, the cops may have been pepper sprayed themselves. So let's wait. Minnesota, to me, is free to elect liberal leaders. You won there, even though Ronald Reagan could not win there. It's been half a century since a GOP presidential candidate, I think, carried Minnesota. But for those states that think they're free to ignore federal law, what would you tell them? Even if they disagree with federal presence, you still can't ignore federal law.
Our country, as you know, Trey, is founded upon a number of very basic principles, one of which is respect for the rule of law for the whole country. And when you hear the mantra from some in Minnesota to have ICE just get out, or in some cases get expletive out, they don't mean, just go back to a lower level of operation. They want ICE out entirely. They don't want any illegal immigration enforcement in the state of Minnesota. Now, that's not all the protesters, but it's a lot of them. And so think about the mentality behind what I just said. You have to be somebody who believes an established law in this country, applicable to all states, the immigration laws, don't happen to apply to what they believe is some safe haven in Minnesota. That's just not realistic. It's not the law. And if you believe that, if they were to succeed at it, it would be highly corrosive and undermine one of the central tenets of our country, which is the rule of law.
You know, Governor, that point you raised is so important. Tim Walsh, Jacob Fry, Keith Ellison, if they want a decreased federal presence, to me, the best way to accomplish that is by doing a better job with state and local law enforcement. I mean, to give you, for instance, the feds should not have to protect churches in Minnesota. The state should be doing that. If you want fewer federal cops, to me, the state of Minnesota should step up so there's less of a need for a federal presence.
And in fact, that's a great point. Just to give you one of many examples, ICE is there now doing their operations. And you see in many of those videos, not just this one from the shooting, but a lot of them where protesters there's no perimeter established. They're being able to penetrate the operational zone of ICE officers as if they were co-located with the ICE officers. And one of the reasons a perimeter is not properly established is because of the stupid sanctuary city and county laws in our state, whereby local police departments refuse to provide any assistance to ICE, including in many cases, not all, many cases, not even helping establish a perimeter to keep the protesters at a safe distance for their own safety, and certainly not during the zone of operations for ICE. So this fact that the locals will not cooperate with the federal government, and in fact affirmatively resist them, is one of the main reasons we have so much dysfunction in this situation in Minnesota.
Well, Governor, I'm going to do something lawyers don't usually do, which is give you the last word. You won in a state where, like I said, even Ronald Reagan could not pull it off. For people in Minnesota and for people throughout the country who want to make up their minds early What is your advice? What is your counsel to them so we can have peace and justice and get it right and not be first?
Thank you. Of course, we live in the click world where everybody's got to be on social media, get the hot take, get the most clicks. I wish it wasn't that way, but it is. But I would just encourage people to look back to even at the Renee Good situation, the shooting of the woman who had her car parked sideways in the street. You know, the early video was one angle from one side of the car, and lots of conclusions could be reached from that one angle. And it went around the world with people making conclusions based on that one slice. And then other angles came out, and it was a very different or more complete picture. And that underscores the points we made earlier. Wait, have patience, get all the evidence.
You know, Governor, there's a reason juries are told you can't even begin to make up your mind until everything is in. Can't even start, much less finish. Can't even start to make up your mind. Not saying everything should be like a courtroom, but maybe this should be. Governor Tim Pawlenty, thank you for your service to our country and to the state of Minnesota and for joining us on a very difficult Sunday night.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.